Interesting video. Okay. Here we go. TikTok is making us sicker. Let's look at how TikTok is giving everyone COVID.
So I'm you know me, I have a lot of problems in my life, and one of them is spending too much time on TikTok. And
that's putting it mildly, Elijah. Good grief.
Dude, listen though. They have ads now on TikTok, not just for pharmaceuticals. It's not like those ones where it's like they never make sense. It's like a nicely dressed like black middle-aged woman pushing a kid in a swing, and it's like, do you feel like killing yourself every night? And it's like, it's like, do you have bad diarrhea in the afternoon? It's like, the images never match the quote, and it's
right.
like, try Zoloft. Chances of death are 3%. And you're like, whoa. And it's like,
it's funny.
Try Zoloft. Chances of death are 3%. And you're like, whoa. If thoughts of suicide, contact it.
That's funny that he said. Like, let's look at what he said again.
Try Zoloft. Chances of death are 3%. And you're like, whoa.
That's funny because it's a chances of death at 3% low. And that's like about the same chance of death from COVID. So it's very interesting that he's like, whoa, for that.
If thoughts of suicide, contact a physician. You're like, oh my gosh, what is this drug? Why is it on TV? Well, I'm watching Arthur on PBS. Why is this playing for my kids? But
why are you watching Arthur on PBS?
It was like,
that's the real question.
Like, it looks like a TikTok. And it's like, oh, I'm having trouble concentrating. Like, I might have ADHD. And it's like, swipe up to get medication for ADHD. I swiped up.
I need
I'm
some
going
of
to see
that.
what happens. I have an appointment now, video appointment for like 3 different medications. It's $129. I'm doing a test. I don't really want them. If you want them, I guess it's illegal. I shouldn't say that on TV. but I'm now getting meetings with these doctors to see how
from TikTok.
Yeah, from TikTok. You just swipe up and it sets you an appointment. You put in your name and it's like, cool. You seem like it asked a question. It was like, do you get distracted? Do you ever feel down? It was like, you might have severe anxiety. The doctor might need to prescribe you medication.
I don't believe this. I spend a bunch of time on social media, on Instagram. I spend a lot of time on ADHD Instagram, I guess as you would say, a little bit of time on like depression Instagram and anxiety Instagram, even though anxiety isn't necessarily something I have. I think he's really being reductionist here for the sake of content, and I don't think he's doing his viewers a service here. A lot of this sort of stuff is not as surface level, like, as you think. It's not like you're getting a bunch of really short quizzes that are like, you ever get sad? Yes? Then you're depressed. Like, there's a lot more nuance that goes into a lot of these quizzes and surveys and things that he's just not really like mentioning here. And maybe he only gave a cursory look because it sounds like mental health is not really something he cares about too much.
Appointment, you put in your name, and it's like, cool, you seem like, it asked a question, it was like, do you get distracted? Do you ever feel down? It was like, you might have severe anxiety. The doctor might need to prescribe you medication. Here's your appointment. And I was like, well, that was weird.
Hold on. Think about that for a second, though. TikTok,
and also, here's another thing too that I don't appreciate. He set up this false premise, and now the rest of the video is going to be based on that premise because nobody's going to challenge him because he didn't provide any proof that what he said was true. And honestly, I am not buying anything that he's saying here. It kind of bugs me. I think mental health needs to be taken a lot more seriously than be like, oh hey, TikTok gave me some quizzes that just said, am I sad? And I must have anxiety. No, that's not how this works. And clearly, you didn't spend much time looking at what it is you say you saw.
In fact, a mental illness factory, and it is mainly used by very young people, by teenagers and whatnot. And most of those young people, maybe not most, but I would say a not insignificant portion of those young people are the ones now that'll have anxiety and depression and dissociative identity disorder and Tourette's and whatever various other illnesses, mental illnesses and mental disorders and things that there are in the world. Think about that, Elijah, that in order to cater to the mental illness factory that is TikTok, you now can swipe up on an ad and get medication.
Factory?
That
what
is
does that
so
mean?
fucked up. That's like supply and demand. Like, well, the mentally ill are using our app. How can we profit off of this? Let me think about that. Oh, I know. We'll give them drugs. That's so
That's true.
up.
But one thing too is that this is how people properly get. That's literally proper treatment for these mental illnesses. um, historically, a lot of people who have these sorts of mental illnesses just they don't get diagnosed, and they just suffer through it, and they get called losers or whatever throughout life, and just are disappointments to everyone until they die. And that's generally how it works. But now that we've done more research into to mental health, we know better how to address it. And we do know that there are drugs that one can take that can alleviate things and make things better. Things that people with ADHD can take that can help them focus better. Things that people who are depressed can take that makes them feel less depressed. Just because people are selling people drugs on the internet, making these people sound like El Chapo or something, but they're not. Just because there are people out here going to mentally ill individuals and saying, here are drugs, that is not a bad thing. There's a narrative I think it's on the right that I don't necessarily like, which is like, if people are trying to sell you drugs, they must be bad people. I appreciate the populism of that, like, big pharma isn't necessarily the best, but at the same time, you can't discount the good that medication and pharmaceuticals can do for people. And yes, like Elijah Schaffer said, some drugs do have they do have side effects, and which is why you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like get prescribed this drug and just keep on chugging it every day, and like that's gonna be it. Because you also have to monitor how that drug affects you and see if it's something you actually need to keep on using. It's not just an easy thing of, let's go give all these kids prescriptions for medications and they'll just use them forever. A lot of times people use medications, they go through some stuff, they go through therapy and different things, and the issues can sometimes even resolve themselves to the point where they can wean themselves off the drug, and long term they don't even need it. They just needed it initially so that they could function well enough to then do some of the other things that they needed to do to get them to a healthier place mentally. I am not a fan of this whole entire mentality of getting drugs for mental health is bad. It's very, very dumb and low IQ take there. That really only people who either don't really care about other people suffering, or people who just plain don't know what they're talking about when it comes to mental health. Those are the only types of people you'll hear making that argument.
But it doesn't look
These
like
are
an
young
ad. It doesn't look like an ad.
These are young people.
It doesn't look like an ad. It looks like somebody's trying to just offer you help. But when you swipe up, you get a meeting with a doctor, and then they ask you for
Oh yeah, because doctors never help anyone.
address. And they
How
said
old
they
do you
send
have
pills.
to be to use this thing?
It didn't. It asked. You definitely probably have to be 18 because it asked me to like take a picture of my ID or whatever, and it was like,
As you should, I would argue. Even though there are people younger than 18 who definitely probably should be on medication who aren't, but.
was through and it was crazy. It was like they didn't even want like insurance or anything. It was just like cash to buy pills on the thing. So I'll probably end up like, well, I'll bring if I get the bottles, I'll bring them.
Yeah, do it.
I will, but I am gonna say this that it is.
That's so messed up.
But I'm
What
saying
is-
it's not
messed up,
normal.
it's
Like
great. Stop being mad that people are getting help just because it's making other people rich. You're almost as bad as Bernie Sanders. People who make drugs are making lots of money off of kids because, they need the drug. You guys are crazy.
America,
Stop, please.
we have defense contracting companies paying for articles that are promoting war
Yeah. discourse,
drug companies on mental illness factories that are promoting their drugs. That's illegal in most countries.
I'm sick and tired, and I see this all the time in real life and in online and all these other things. I am sick and tired of people who don't know anything about mental health talking about it as if they're some sort of authority on it and giving really, really bad and damaging advice, because they're not being helpful, they're only being harmful. And when someone who actually understands the topic looks at it, they look so dumb.